We live from Broad Street, brotherly love's the heartbeat. Hungry dogs run faster and we don't eat cheap. No one likes us and we don't care. Cause we from Philly and we ain't never scared. Look up.
But I just gotta know one thing. Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
Here we go. Boys and girls, welcome to 4th and JAWN, episode 81. I am not going to sugarcoat this thing or try to find a silver lining in a loss. That loss against the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas was frustrating, it was disappointing, it was downright devastating. And it's so funny because everything that happened in that game against the Dallas Cowboys was a little mini, almost microcosm of everything that's gone wrong with this Philadelphia Eagles team this year. Whether it's having trouble scoring in the first quarter. Against the Dallas Cowboys, to hell with the first quarter, they didn't even score until the third quarter. Whether it be questionable play calling by Doug Peterson. You really going to run an option play to the short side of the field on third down? You're really going to run this type of stuff? Whether it be suspect secondary play that has plagued the Philadelphia Eagles all season, where you're giving quarterbacks like Ryan Fitzpatrick over 400 yards, Marcus Mariota his highest total passing yards for the season, Drew Brees had his highest number of touchdown passes, and Dak Prescott had 455 yards passing? Dak Prescott, Dakota Rain Prescott, the guy who had trouble even sniffing 300 yards, that's what you're going to do? Now, granted, a lot of that is due to injuries in the secondary. Speaking of which, here we go with the injuries again. Corey Clement and Josh Sweat go down. The inability to put games away when you have the opportunity. Elliott missing an extra point. We wouldn't even be having this conversation if Elliott banged that one. Not having the ball bounce our way like it did in 2017, like it did when it landed in Amari Cooper's hands to ice it in overtime. Getting away from the run game, a problem all year. Josh Adams has 3 touches for 30 yards and averages 10 yards a carry and then doesn't see the ball practically for the rest of the game. The inability to stay on the field, which has plagued the Philadelphia Eagles all season long. In their first 6 drives, there was 5 punts, 3 3-and-outs, and 1 fumble. The inability for this offense to get going at all. The inability for drafted players to make an impact. Look back at the last 3 drafts, look at that game, and tell me the players that are drafted that are making an impact. 2018, Goddard and Josh Sweat, who got hurt. Goddard had a good game. 2017, Sidney Jones, hurt. Rasul Douglas playing. Nate Gary out there because of injury. 2016, Carson Wentz making an impact. Isaac Seumalo, all right, whatever. Wendell Smallwood had 1 carry. Vitae played exactly 1 play. But these are all symptomatic of the 2018 season, which can all be found in 1 game. Not to mention the refs absolutely, positively screwing the Eagles from the get-go. And trust me, we'll get into that as well. But yet somehow, some way, there is an opportunity for this Philadelphia Eagles team to back in, trip in, fall into the 6th seed in the NFC playoffs. What? And there's a chance it might happen. But today I'm not in the mood. I'm not in the mood to talk about, hey guys, there's still hope. Hey guys, there's still chance. All I want to do is to get this negative energy out of me today. So maybe you can help me with that. Mr. Gail Saunders, Eagle Sessions on Twitter. How are you feeling this evening?
I don't think you get any positivity over here, bruh. We've talked about this Eagles team and talked about the identity. Like, what is their identity? I mean, if you've been paying attention, this Eagles team has been trying to show you who they are, but you've probably been in denial, which is understandable. We're Super Bowl champs defending, right? But the truth is we have an offense that can't get it started and a defensive unit that is too tired to finish. A coach who doesn't know how to utilize his weapons, a quarterback coming back from injury who's pushing and trying to do too much. a tight end-centric offense with tight ends not named Dallas Goedert, an offense with no balance, a neglected running game running on fumes, a football team dealing with a boatload of injuries, a secondary too banged up, with us relying on no-name corners to compete. It's a hard and difficult situation to look yourself in the face. You know, we've been doing a lot of looking in the mirrors these days, and this is what it is, folks. You know, like, we lost to the Dallas Cowboys again on national television. This is the game that you win. This is the game where you right the ship. This is the game that you tell the NFL the Eagles are back and making a run for the playoffs. Obviously, you don't want to blame refs, but that was one of the most awful refs games I've seen in my lifetime of watching football. And I've watched a lot of football. I know it stings more because our Eagles, we're at the short end of the stick on that. But, it's our fault that we lost. Mainly the offense. That defense was out there fighting for their life with guys that are no-namers, guys that have half a hamstring left, guys like Rasul Douglas playing lights out. Doug Peterson has to finally look at himself. I mean, it's all closing in. That pressure he was talking about, taking the pressure off now. The pressure is up and away. It's in your face, Doug Peterson. Now, I think with the way the season has come to an end, it's not an end yet, but
practically
an end. He's got to look at himself in the mirror.
Yeah, and I'm with you 100% as far as ref blaming goes. I hate to sit here and be one of those fans that says Jerry's paying off the refs. Because let's face it, if we flipped the script and we dominated the Cowboys, we wouldn't want to hear all those excuses from the Cowboys fans. I don't like any time opposing fans approach me and be like, "Yo, the reason you won, you didn't earn it. The referees gave you the game." But damn, bro. Damn. And in fact, on the 97.5 morning show, they had a ref expert, a network ref expert, read verbatim the rule. And the rule is that it doesn't matter if it's a clear recovery. If all the jerseys are matching color and there were 3 jerseys, 1 ball, not a Cowboys player within an arm's length of the football, that should absolutely 100% beyond a shadow of a doubt go to the Philadelphia Eagles. The league botched that one, and it set the tempo. It's hard to sit here and not ref blame when that sets the tempo for the entire game. Now, referees or not, Eagles win or not, like let's say the Eagles pulled it out in overtime, you would have a tough time convincing me that the Eagles were the better team on the field. That's what concerns me more. Because listen, it's known, it's football 101. Everybody knows that in the NFL, the best team doesn't always win the game. And had the Eagles won the game, would it increase our playoff chances? Yes. Would we be tied for the NFC East? Yes. But would you still really walk away from that game feeling like the Eagles were the better team? I want to focus more on the Eagles than I want to do about the Dallas Cowboys, or more specifically, the overall officiating. But let's make one thing clear. We got screwed from the get-go, and it set the tempo for the entire game.
And Cowboys fans will argue like, "Oh, these Eagle fans, you're crying about this." This is coming from the fan base who's still arguing that Dez caught it. So obviously we have something to be upset about, because it's clear as day. All the NFL referees, retired and whatever, have stated their case that it's fact that wasn't a penalty.
It was so funny to see it on the timeline, because there were guys like Terrell Owens. There were players tweeting about it, showing the clip, and being like, "Are you kidding me? This is this is not a clear recovery by the kicking team. Are you kidding me right now?" And there was even ones blaming it on the Goddard.
Yeah, the Goddard penalty, offensive pass interference. Within 5 yards, he has the right to run his route, get off the release, and he got hooked off 2 times in the head. What happened to those penalties? I mean, but hey, Dallas Goedert came to play though.
He did.
He showed us some future though.
He did. Evan Hollywood Hearn, how are you this evening?
I got to be honest with you, I'm not going to brighten up the mood in the room at all.
Oh, man.
honestly, I walked away from this game feeling like how I've been feeling the past few weeks, and that is that I feel duped. I feel duped in this team, and I feel as duped in this team as I did when, I'm going to say it, but I don't want you to take it the wrong way. As duped in this team is when I believed in the whole Chip Kelly system. I'm not comparing the two coaches, but I'm going to explain my rationale here. I believed in the beginning of this season that on paper we had a better defense than we did last year. They've proven nothing but the opposite. I also believed that this team I didn't believe that Frank Reich was the sole reason that we were having great play calls last season where big balls Doug. Could it have been big balls Frank? We don't know. I feel duped that I mocked the Dallas Cowboys for going out and trading a first-round pick for Amari Cooper. I said that was stupid. How could they go out there and get a player like Amari Cooper and give up a first-round pick? Man, has that paid off for them. And even as close as last week, I feel duped in the fact that we were talking about last week. Zach Ertz passed Brian Westbrook for the most receptions in a single season in Eagles history. I got to be honest with you guys. I think Zach Ertz has some great hands. He's a dump-off receiver that just happens to catch everything. He doesn't break tackles. He doesn't make those big plays.
Oh, jeez. Going in on Zach Ertz.
Listen, he does.
Going in on Zach.
Off the top rope.
Listen,
all right.
Zach Ertz is a king of a 10-yard hook pass. He could do that all day long. He can get 10-yard receptions all day long. Is he going to get big chunk plays like how Dallas Goedert showed he can get? I don't know. I haven't seen much of that of Zach Ertz in his career.
Something we talked about last week was them keying, the possibility of another team keying on Zach Ertz. You know, they put Byron Jones out there, basically took him out of the game for most of the game, and that's where we as an offense needed to stand up, and someone had to step up. And seeing Wentz hold on to the ball a little bit extra to see where Ertz is, you know, and his
timing's off this year as well.
His inability to hit the check down. I mean, you're looking at, and you know, we're comparing Dak to Carson, but in terms of hitting your check down, Ezekiel Elliott had 12 catches.
Yeah,
you know, like he's hitting his check down.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, Wentz, again, he was pushing a little bit hard.
And to build on me talking about feeling duped, I talked all year long about how Dak Prescott can barely crack 200 yards.
Oh, man.
For throwing. He goes for 455 against us. Almost the entire offense almost gets 600 yards against this Eagles defense, which I thought was going to be elite at the beginning of the season. I just feel duped.
Well, here's the good news, boys and girls. You ready for the good news?
Lay it on me.
I don't even feel like talking about this right now. But there's still a chance that the Eagles can make the playoffs. Yeah, I got to sit here and put my positivity hat on because there is a scenario, and as unlikely as it seems, I believe right now there's just about a 5% chance that the Eagles make the playoffs, at least statistically speaking.
It's a whole calculus problem in order to make it.
But logically speaking, there's an opportunity here.
It can happen.
Now, if the Eagles win 2 of their last 3 and the Vikings lose 2 of their last 3, the Eagles have the opportunity to limp into the playoffs as the 6th seed. Okay. Now, I know full right and well that this Philadelphia Eagles team is not a Super Bowl contending team. I know full right and well that if they got into the playoffs, chances are, at best, they might win a game. But here is my hope upon hope, that the football gods who smiled upon us in 2017 and who have forsaken us in 2018 kind of feed us a little bit of a bone. Because I'll admit it, Dallas, I'm rooting for you. Oh, I am. I mean that wholeheartedly. I am rooting for the Dallas Cowboys because what I need is for the Dallas Cowboys to surpass the Chicago Bears and earn that 3rd seed. Because if the Eagles went into the playoffs as the 6th seed and the playoffs picture kind of stood the way it is, without number 2 really, 1 or 2 switching around, that doesn't even matter. They get a first-round bye. If the Eagles were the 6th seed and the playoffs happened today or the playoff standing stood exactly put, we would be playing the Chicago Bears in Chicago. That's not a place I want to be at. Not in the wintertime. Not against that defense. No, I don't want any part of it. But if the Dallas Cowboys, who have a couple cookie-cutter games coming up, can somehow win out and surpass the Chicago Bears, all of a sudden, you're looking at a scenario where the Cowboys get the 3 seed, and they once again host the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, for all the crap that the Dallas Cowboys fans have talked, for all the crap that Eagles fans have been through, I guarantee you the Dallas Cowboys do not want to see the Philadelphia Eagles in the playoffs. They do not want to play a divisional opponent for the 3rd time because it is incredibly hard to sweep a team in your division. It's incredibly harder to win 3 of them in the playoffs. I'm rooting for you, Dallas. Listen, if the Eagles thing works out and they make the playoffs, hey, great. If they make the playoffs, I just pray, I hope that the Dallas Cowboys get that 3rd seed.
Damn, E is really throwing up the X right now.
Oh, he is.
A little bit. Listen, man, one can hope. If I'm going to hinge all my hopes on the Eagles making the playoffs with other teams in the mix, because let's face it, the Eagles can't handle controlling their own destiny at this point. If they were capable of controlling their own destiny, we wouldn't even be in this position. How large do those Tennessee Titans and Carolina Panthers losses loom now?
Oh.
How large does that loom right now?
We said after those games, are they going to come back to bite us at the end of the season?
Absolutely.
Yep.
That's why all these games are so important. We're talking about tiebreakers over the Carolina Panthers. They still got to play the Saints twice, so that's the Panthers are completely out of the picture. They couldn't buy a win if Jerry Jones was stuffing their referees with pockets full of money. They couldn't buy a win.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles made their own bed in the beginning of the season. When you catch those L's that, you shouldn't be, a championship team like we had should not be taking L's in that matter, to the Bucks, to the Titans, losing in the 4th quarter, and the Panthers. But now, I mean, it's in a weird situation. I kind of look at this season like it's old Yeller comes out and he's crazy. He's like, should we put it down? Like, is it like, I hate the season. I hate this season.
I'm with you.
Compared to last season, one of the best seasons I've ever had as an Eagle fan. Obviously, we won the Super Bowl on my birthday. Can't get any better than that.
Right.
But I think going into the season, the expectations, the new norm. But I think right now we have the new storm because Doug Peterson has to figure out how to weather this storm. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts with, the way that we close out this season, the way that if we make the playoffs and in the offseason, and who is he going to be coached next season? There's a lot of moving parts.
The one advantage that we have going into this offseason that we didn't have last offseason is hopefully Doug Peterson's not going to be writing a book this offseason. No. So we can, so maybe he can put his full focus towards next season.
And I didn't so much like that in the press conference. When someone mentioned, I don't blame Doug Peterson for not going for 2 in that scenario. Because the way the game was kind of unfolding, the Eagles were even lucky in the position. I mean, granted, going into halftime, it was 9-0, right?
Yeah.
It felt like it was 30-0. Like, it felt like they were just getting outclassed, outcoached, everything.
They were working it.
They were working it. The score was not indicative of the way that first half went. And somehow the Dallas Cowboys both kind of took their foot off the gas a little bit, and the Eagles started climbing back. So I don't blame Doug Peterson for not going for 2. I know he went for 2 last season against the Carolina Panthers in the 3rd quarter when the game didn't hinge upon that very play. This season has been up and down so much that I know Doug Peterson is sitting on that sidelines, looking at the way the game is unfolding, feeling fortunate that they have the ability just to tie the thing and maybe put it in the overtime where a flip of the coin, I had more confidence in them winning the coin toss than I did the 60-40 split on whether or not they were going to convert that 2-point conversion. But I'll be honest, I didn't like the whole you wrote a book. What was it? Fearless. Like how are you going to do that now? Book or no book, I didn't care much for that because if Doug Peterson went for it and didn't get it, do you think the reporters would be in the post-game press or the Monday after press conference there saying, "Hey Doug, don't worry about it. We know why you did it. You wrote a book named Fearless." No, they would be sitting there questioning like, why didn't you take the points? Why didn't you play for overtime? Why didn't you lock it up so it was a tie, and you could extend the game? That's what the reporters are saying now. I'm just throwing it out there. I didn't like the whole you wrote a book fearless. I didn't like it.
Now, I mean, looking at the situation, does Doug Peterson look like he's a little less confident in his offense?
Wouldn't you be?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's calling the plays down there too. So, I mean, does it send a mixed signal to his offensive players, thinking that in this situation, statistically, the analytics show that 57% chance that he makes it, especially with that penalty.
Yeah.
Maybe the players are like, oh man, you don't trust us.
Yeah, but you know what I'm thinking about? I'm looking no further than the week prior to that, when the Eagles are down at the goal line, go for it, and everybody knows it's getting handed off to Josh Adams.
Yeah.
And you don't get it. And then Carson gets picked off by Norman. So, I mean, the chances, statistically speaking, yeah, it's 60-40. But really, looking at that game and games prior, was it really 60-40?
No. I mean, I was okay with it. Like, I was just like, man, I'm just happy to be here. Like we're going into overtime. Like, we have a chance. But at the end of that, Doug became so predictable. There's a point, I'm watching the game, I predicted like 6 plays in a row. I'm like, man,
if you can do it, yeah.
We've been talking about, like, if we can predict the plays, I mean, they know what's coming.
They do. The plays have become predictable. The scripts have become predictable. The scripts have become ineffective. And granted, I sat here in the beginning of the season and poo-pooed off the Frank Reich and the DiFilippo situation, being like, don't worry, dude, the offensive minds are going to meet at the table once again, and collectively they are going to formulate an offensive game plan that's going to be successful. It hasn't been successful all year. Gail, to steal your stat, what is it, 10 of 13 first quarters?
10 of 13 first
quarters, they haven't scored. It's unacceptable.
Yeah.
This is your scripted plays. This is your best stuff you're putting on paper. This is the stuff that's supposed to set the tempo for the remainder of the game. This is the stuff that's supposed to get you to lead so your defense can play pin their ears back football like they like to. And you have not been able to score 10 friggin' times out of 13.
Yeah, I mean, their company in the bottom. The Eagles are last. We're 2.2 points per quarter, first quarter. And Andy Reid leads the league.
Yeah.
But the teams at the bottom with us are the Jags, who are 4-9, the Jets, who are 4-9, Miami, who's 7-6 with a winning record, Cleveland 5-7, Atlanta 4-9, Oakland 3-10. I mean, but that's got to tell you something about your offense. And someone who's in the front office has got to look at that. Lurie's like, dude, you have to blame someone. Like, if Groh is the scapegoat. I mean, because you can't get rid of Peterson right now. Like, the guy won you a Super Bowl. So, So
I am so sick of Groh. This LL Bean mannequin standing up in front of the reporters, answering questions. I can't take him anymore. I can't take my Groh. I can't do it. Play that clip. Play that clip from the press conference.
Everything suddenly was working. You were getting the ball to Tate, to Goddard, to Jordan Matthews. Why was it so different from the previous 3 quarters? What changed to make things so much more achievable?
Here it comes.
Yeah, I don't know that any one thing changed. It just, you just kind of find a rhythm. And
what rhythm?
Once you get into a little bit of rhythm and the chains start moving, and I don't know, you get the defense on their heels a little bit. They had us on our heels early, and we weren't able to get that reversed, and then we got a little bit of traction, and then we were able to play pretty effectively.
Mike.
Oh my God! Shut up! I'm sick of hearing this guy talk. What are you saying?
He's saying nothing.
What
He's
are you
talking
saying?
without saying anything.
What are you putting together? What are you saying? What are you doing? Why are you here? Dude, bro, why are you here?
I should have rolled up a car in the back and had the trunk open, Grow, in the trunk. We're taking a ride.
Dude, seriously. But hey, listen, the Vikings just got rid of Johnny Flips. Johnny Flips is out there.
Yeah.
And listen, I have made pitches for bringing people in on this podcast throughout the season. I made my pitch for Le'Veon Bell. Never happened. I made my pitch for Des Bryant. Never happened. Here's my pitch for bringing back Johnny Flips. All right?
Please.
Because, listen, make it a Hugh Jackson situation in Cincinnati. This isn't hard. You're going to be sitting at home doing nothing. You were supposed to be the next up-and-coming, brilliant offensive mind that once you did your offensive coordinator business for a while, you were going to be first in line to be a head coach. You didn't last one season, not one season in Minnesota. Not one season. And I get why, Johnny. I perfectly understand why. Zimmer, who's a defensive coach, wants to have this mentality of ground and pound and physical football and not a finesse offense. Meanwhile, you're the offensive coordinator. Quite frankly, that ain't your style. That's like me going into a podcast and totally switching up the style. Can I try to do it? Yeah. Am I going to be as effective? Absolutely, positively not. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles have had trouble with the scripted plays and the offensive game plan this entire season. They are right now in a battle with the aforementioned Minnesota Vikings, who just fired your rear end to get into the playoffs. Not only that, but you already game planned. You already got in a shootout with the Eagles' next opponent, the Los Angeles Rams. That game was close. You put your offense with Kirk Cousins and all of them put up 31 points and got in a shootout with the Los Angeles Rams. Why would you not say to Johnny Flips, listen, man, you ain't doing nothing for the next 3 weeks. I'll make you an offer you can't refuse. You already game planned for the Rams, and if we do get into the playoffs and things stay the same, we're going to be playing the Bears, who once again, you already made a game plan for. Why don't you come in, we'll make up some BS title for you, call you an offensive red zone consultant, I don't know, make something up. He can be the ice cream man. After your meetings where you're like, let's go get some ice. Now let's go get some ice. He can be the ice cream dude. Just have him formulating the game plan. And if he really wants to get back at the Minnesota Vikings, if the rumors are true and the heads were buttoned and tensions were high over there, you have the ability to go help this Philadelphia Eagles team kick the Minnesota Vikings out of the playoffs, and not for nothing, but getting fired by the Vikings in your first offensive coordinator position. Your first offensive coordinator duties doesn't look good on you, albeit Zimmer has his hand in this, and a lot of this is Zimmer's fault. Right. It doesn't look good at you for getting another offensive coordinator job or continuing your resume to become eventually a head coach. Come back to the Eagles. At the very least, help us game plan for the Rams and screw the Vikings.
And come back to something you know. I mean, before the 2016 draft, Flip was a part of that, staff that went out there and basically tested Carson Wentz to trade up. Like, he was one of the guys who had a voice. He was one of the guys that was putting plays on the boards and seeing if Wentz could actually retain the information.
A key part of his development.
I mean, he's been part of the development of Wentz ever since he got in the league. What better player for you to hitch your wagon, the Wentz wagon, would be with the Eagles, and a quarterback who's an elite talent that is in
that he's already got a rapport with.
Right. I mean, It's a perfect situation.
And it doesn't come down to anything further than this. Are the Eagles as good of an offense this year as they were last year? No. Has Carson Wentz progressed or regressed? Regressed. He's regressed. I mean, let's face it. We can look at the stats, we can look at everything else, but when I'm a big fan of the eyeball test.
Yeah, the highlight plays are not there from where they were last year. He was making a highlight reel play once a game last year.
So why would you not just, even if he's not in your long-term plans, I'm not saying fire Mike Groh now. Do it later. I'm sure that's coming.
Send a message.
And I'm not saying make Flips your offensive coordinator at this point late in the season, but bring him in. It's advantageous to all of us, right?
Yeah, I mean, in the red zone, I mean, that's where, Flip had his stamp. I mean, the Eagles were first in the NFL, scoring, 65% in the red zone. I mean,
the red zone coordinator.
This year, they're 18th at 57.4%. Bring a guy like that back into the system, why not? It all makes sense. I mean, looking at the timeline today on Twitter, it seems like everyone was 100% on board with this.